Green, blue, and green, that's what we rock. On top, right with us. Glad to hear y'all dropped in. On top, slide with us. Walt and Dave get locked in, and let's go.
Well, let's go. All right. What's up, Walter?
How you doing?
I'm good, buddy. I'm doing a lot better than our team is today.
Yeah, it was a tough outing for us, to say the least.
Yes, sir. Hey, it's another week. This is Hawk Talk. It's me and Walter Thurman the third, Legion of Boom. Hey, this show. Actually, we're gonna give some stuff away. It's Christmas time, so I'm feeling a little jolly. Feel a little jolly. So we've got a few autographed things. A Hawk Talk mini helmet signed by Walter and I, and one of the footballs from my golf tournament with about 30 autographs on it, including Chuck Liddell and of course Walter, and I should have given it some thought. There's a bunch of guys on there, a bunch of Super Bowl champs and actors, and it's pretty cool. I'll list it out, whoever wins it. But our producer is going to be just picking names out of the chat. So we'll do some reminders, and maybe about halfway through we'll start drawing some names. But all you got to do is put your name in the chat, and we'll hopefully you'll win something. Unlike the Hawks. So, man, all right, we got to talk about the game. We've had some fun the last few weeks talking about the game because we've won. We look really good, and then we get home, and that happens. So
yeah, we haven't had a really strong home outing though, and it's unfortunate. It's a very uncharacteristic of a Seahawks team to give so many games away at home, especially games that we can win. I just didn't think we could run the ball enough in this game, as it came down to it. I mean, 16 rushing attempts. I mean, Charbonnet 8 carries for 54 yards, which, I mean, he was running hard. I mean, I love Charbonnet. I love what he's doing.
Yeah,
UCLA guy. He needs to get more touches. I think that was a game, especially after that Geno injury. Obviously, the game started to get away, but like, it was still in reach. 10 points is not crazy, though, but I think it seemed larger because the Packers were so efficient when they had the ball. And I think that kind of skews on some of your play calling. They kind of got away from the run and was kind of relying on the pass there. And I think they should have just kind of been a little bit more efficient on the run.
Well, I will tell you, it's been a difficult topic. Geno, when you throw, you march the ball down the field and you throw yet another pick into the end zone, it just deflates. And at some point, it's not like once or twice or 3 times. It's been a consistent deal where the interceptions are like at pivotal points of the game or in the red zone. And doggone it, man, when you're playing a team like Green Bay that's on a roll, that's a talented team, that's a good team, even when you're at home, when that happens, it just takes you down a notch. You're just like, oh, And
they're a Super Bowl contending team too, though. So I mean, it's not that's a team to where you have to give full attention there. They're not going to roll over. I mean, they've been playing great football all year, and I mean, shoot, I mean they're 10-4 for a reason, right? Because they're not turning the ball over in the red zone. I mean, that's not how you win games, and hats off to them. I mean, the NFC North is a very it's the best division conference in the league right now. Kind of hands down across the board. I mean, outside the Bears, but I mean, we don't have a rollover game next week either.
Right. Well, and to your point, they're 10-4 in the best division in the league.
Yep.
So we knew it was going to be a tough game, and it cannot have errors. You cannot have a turnover in the red zone because it puts you behind. And yes, Charbonnet did what Charbonnet does. And then, what's our option? I, for one, kind of thought, okay, well, Howell's gonna get in here and maybe give us a little spark because he's done that.
And I think he did not
give us a spark.
It's one of those things where you go this deep in the season, you're not really expecting to play. You're not expecting the quarterback to get injured there.
Yeah.
You're backup quarterback. You're taking the practice reps. You're not thinking that you're really gonna get in the game through an injury like that at that position. And so, especially with today's football. And so he just seemed flustered, like he just wasn't ready and prepared, especially with the kind of the ups and downs of the offensive line to where you have to get the ball out quick. They're moving around on defense out there. He just didn't seem poised at all.
No.
And again, he went out there and threw an interception. He only had 24 yards passing, and so
5 for 14 or whatever it was, but
yeah, 5 for 14. I mean, I think when that happened, when Geno goes down, I know it was a little bit later in the game, but I think the game was still kind of relatively in reach, within that capacity. Like I think they should have still worked just the normal offense and getting him more comfortable in, relying on the Charbonnet and getting him in manageable third down type of situations and not like in third and longs into where he has to be, making outrageous, avoid the rush, sit in the pocket there and then go make a throw. Maybe a little bit quick hitters would have been more sufficient for him in that capacity. I mean, Smith and Jigma, he balls out again. 10 receptions on 12 targets. I mean,
yeah.
the guys, he has a bright future in this league for sure.
By the way, Walter, one of the things we're giving away.
Oh, there you go.
Jigma autographed 8x10. So
hey, you got to put my name in the raffle for that?
Yeah. What?
I said, can I put my name into the raffle?
Yeah. Well, we might be able to hook you up. Hey, put your kid's name in. Hey,
there you go.
How did you think the defense did? We've been talking about the offense, and that was the easy target. But what about the defense?
I mean, the defense had moments here and there, but they couldn't get off the field when they needed to on some of the third downs early in the game, and I think that kind of just gave them momentum. But then they were able to kind of again keep it within that 10-point range for the longest time, and then offense not able to even get pinch a field goal out there in some capacity, kind of I don't say necessarily depletes the defense, but like you're working, defense needs to turn the ball over in some capacity. And just wasn't able to do it, wasn't able to get off the field when they needed to, pushing moving the chains, then you get in the short long field for our offense to try to move the ball in that defense there. It just wasn't, it wasn't the team that we've seen the past couple of weeks, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was because it was a Sunday night game. We're in that lime green out there, which I'm not a big fan of. or the Packers were that much better of a team because of where they're at within that capacity. And I mean, I think they played a very efficient game plan. I mean, they did what they needed to do to get off the field and put us in a bind. Then they were able to kind of work against a backup quarterback where they had a lot of success on, and we kind of got away from our offensive game plan to where trying to really score points.
So I was gonna try and pull a picture of so Christian built these jerseys out, and I don't know if you can see it. It's that green.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that's the one my daughter wants. Daddy, I like that green. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever you want, dear. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of. I'm colorblind, and I can see that. It's just like it. And I don't know that the players like it. I don't. Maybe we probably won't see it again. I'm thinking, but yeah. Here's the thing too about Howell that you brought up. We talk about this. This next man up and being prepared to get in the game at any given time. And we've seen guys that have been thrown into that.
Yeah.
And excelled and did well.
Couple offensive linemen in the game, right? I mean, that happened.
Yeah. And then if you talk to them afterwards, because they just take it as they're prepared and they stay in the game the entire game because that's their job, is to be ready should something like that happen. And to your point, it just didn't seem like Howell was, and it showed, and it didn't help us much. All right, so
I mean, but I think it's so easy to get out of the game when you're not getting any reps. You're not in special teams because some of the guys that are suiting up, they're in some type of special team, so they're not just sitting on the sideline, not actively in a game a lot of times. Maybe some of the linemen, but they may be on field goal, right? So I mean, they're still getting some reps. They're in the game a little bit, right? But the quarterback, you're just not getting any reps. No. You're suited up and you're just sitting around just waiting with the clipboard, and you're trying to stay engaged as much as possible. But it's not the same like some of the other positions where like you're suiting up, or you're going to be on special teams, you're running down on kickoff, or you're on punt, or whatever the case may be. So you're getting out there actively into the game to where that next man up mentality is like, okay, I've been playing the game, I can pop right in. But you go into like the third quarter, you're like, oh, I'm not getting into this game. There's no way he's gonna get hurt.
So we say, okay, so I know what you're talking about when you say hold the clipboard. Now, do they still hold the clipboard?
Actually, nowadays I don't even know. I mean, but I think it's just being able to check off what plays they're running. I mean, they probably have a list of plays. They have the headset on, so they know what they're engaged, knowing what play is being called on the field, and then just being able to see what's going on and what's transpiring, based off the defense and so on and so forth.
I just didn't know if that was like an old term that us old guys know, because they literally the backup quarterback was typically like jotting down notes and stats and things, and was actually holding a clipboard. So it is like like we use old terms like, hey, roll down the window, because us old people used to actually crank a window down and roll it down. Kids, we say roll down the window, they don't know what the heck we're talking about. So anyways, is it kind of a tangent, but why don't you introduce our guest? So I don't know if I mentioned this, but JJ isn't going to be able to make it. He texted us, and I appreciate him letting us know that it's December and he started feeling under the weather, but he assured us, because he wants to hang out with his old teammate Walter, and he said he'll come on after the first of the year when we come back after our hiatus. So we're just gonna go ahead and bring our guest in, and why don't you introduce him, Walt, because this is your guy.
Yeah, it's Eric Hunter here. He helped get me right on my path going into to Oregon and in the NFL there. He just graduated from the University of Idaho at receiver, and came down and coached the high school team, and he would come up and run routes and put on pads and stuff like that. So from being a young pup, it allowed me to kind of see where I was at going against a fresh college receiver there, and just instilling confidence in myself there. And then once I had the opportunity to get into the NFL there, came on and was a trainer. And then the year of the lockout, took Richard Sherman underneath the wing there, and he came out to West Covina to come train with us, along with Brandon Brown and a couple other guys from the University of Oregon as well, to come train. And so he's a Seahawks fan through his training expertise, if you will, helping getting us Legion of Boom right.
Well, hey, Eric, welcome to the show.
Glad to be on.
Man, I'll tell you what, with that resume, you should be like sought after, like, that. Are you on a sideline somewhere now, or what are you doing now?
No, actually, I'm refereeing high school football and junior college football. So I got out the coaching game a little while back, and decided to take my talents to the zebra stripes.
Wow.
Hey, I have a couple guys that are referees here. Being a former athlete, former player, how much different is the game from that side?
It's not much difference other than the mechanics. It's knowing the rule book from front to back, or as much of it as you can retain, and the mechanics of it. Being a former player, being a former coach, now I'm looking through a third lens, which is a referee. And so you see things, because the speed doesn't bother me. So there's officials who've never played the game, and the speed bothers them. Kind of like, when I was coaching, guys, who are Division I players or collegiate players, when they get to the next level, the speed is the main thing that bothers them. And then there's the adjustment period, and those that can hang and fight through it, finish on, get their degrees, and the rest is history. And those go back home who can't cut it. And so officiating is kind of the same thing. The second year officials, they struggle with the speed because your body's in the middle of the way. Mechanically, you see it on Sundays. officials stand there, they get knocked over sometimes because that's where they want us to be. And with me playing the game, with me coaching the game, with me working with you, Sherman, Brown, and some of the other guys and stuff like that, the speed doesn't bother me. And everything. And even being a little bit fortunate myself to have a few pro workouts at the end of my college career, everything just kind of comes down to speed. So it's just looking at it through a separate lens, a different, optics, but also applying the knowledge of a former player and a former coach.
You're a receiver. Are you biased to the receivers out there?
Absolutely not.
Hey, because my guy Antoine Cason, DB for the Chargers and Arizona Wildcats there. He might be a little biased. He might have the DBs play a little, find a little bit more out there.
Yeah, no. For me, it's all about. I'll get receivers that, hey, ref, he was holding my jersey, and I'll look at him. I'll see the hold, and what I will tell them is, I saw him pull the jersey, and the very next thing you did was stop. So I'm not going to throw a flag to save you or bail you out. Finish out the play, and everything. And for those who are listening, my primary positions are back judge and referee. So I usually see it from one side of the field or the other side of the field in most cases. But I let players know what I saw. If I didn't see it, I'll keep an eye out for it, and give me a number, and I'll keep an eye on. If I'm a referee and a defensive or an offensive lineman is holding DN or something like that, because those things happen. And same thing on the other side, receivers blocking on the edge, and the running back runs by him where the DB could have had an opportunity for a tackle. So it's communication, just like coaching, and just like when I was a player, coaches communicating to me what they see or what they don't see.
Well, I'll tell you, I played basketball 1 year at San Diego State as well, and I played a lot of basketball, and I would get hacked because I'm a little bigger than most. I'm tall, but I'm wide. I'm like baby Shaq. So and I would get so mad at referees, like because I would just like pivot, like bump them, and they'd fall over. But I'd have two guys hanging on my arms and no foul. So until I put on a whistle, and I was asked to like referee like a youth game or or whatever it was, and I got a completely different understanding. It is so much. You were talking about speed, just that reaction of seeing, recognizing, is it really, and then blowing the whistle. Well, then the ball's already back down the court. Then you've got to. I mean, it is when they say split second, it is splitting seconds to be able to recognize and acknowledge it's a foul, blow the whistle, and be ready to go. It is tough, but it didn't stop me. Getting back to football, I'm up in Montreal, and like the referee from the other side of the field called holding on me, and I had to argue that point. I don't know if that's you. If you guys really do split the field and you got holding on one side, but I'm like, that's not even your call over there. How could you see it? I mean, it was holding, but it's not his call.
Yeah. Well, it's a good question. It's a good question, and with that, it's so if I'm a referee, so my responsibilities are the quarterback first and foremost. I'm always with the quarterback. He scrambles left, I sprint left with him. He goes right, I go right with him until he's about 3 or 4 yards past the line of scrimmage, and I pass him off. With that, a lot of times when I was beginning my refereeing career, I was doing the head linesman or line judge. Either I was next to the first down marker or I was on the opposite side. And so you end up seeing things, different angles, different perspectives. The referee, like you mentioned, called holding on you from the other side. He probably had no bodies in front of him blocking him out. So he saw you hold, where if the referee that was near you didn't see it, probably because he was blocked out. And so when you're in different angles and different positions on the field, it does change your perspective or your eyesight, what you're looking at. Your keys get passed off, or they just leave you altogether because the play goes away from you. Being in the middle of the field, what I'm looking for as a referee is, if there is a hold, is do you lose a step? So a lot of times when we watch NFL games, NCAA games, even high school games for some of us, when that defensive player, like it looks like he has a hitch in his step, like a false step.
Yeah.
Chances are he probably got held. And those are certain things because it's holding on every play. And the fans don't come to look at the referees blow the whistle. You know, they come to watch the players play.
Yeah.
And so there's certain keys that I look for if I'm looking for a hold. Does he lose a step? Was he high load, which is a term we, us football players use, high low blocks. Different certain keys that I'm looking for. If I'm the back judge, what I'm looking for are the receivers or the tight ends releasing downfield, and are they being disrupted in their route? Once they get past the 5-yard threshold, is there a hip tug? Is there a pull of the jersey or something like that that disrupts them from getting to where they need to get to? And even in some cases, if a receiver or a tight end is blocking downfield, you see it all the time and stuff. So the same thing, the principles are you're looking for certain keys, certain elements that would disrupt the play or that player from making a play, whether it's offensively or defensively.
So before we keep going on, real quick, guys, we're going to be giving stuff away here in about 10 minutes. If your name, it's going to be just purely pulling names out of the chat. So if you're not reading the chat, go over to the chat, put your name in. Our producer is going to randomly pick people because Walter and I know y'all. So we're not doing it. Pete, our producer, doesn't know you. He hasn't hung out with you, but he's going to pull your names. I've seen a handful go in there. Throw your name in. And our first, I'll let you know what our first item is real quick. We're going to do a Matt Hasselbeck autographed 8x10. All right. And it's got the sticker on it. The authenticity stuff. So anyhow, that's going to be our first one. And then, but we're going to get away from refereeing a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell us about a young Walt. That's what we want to know. So, I mean, you came back, you worked with them.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't work with, you worked with a handful of players. You always picked that one or two that you really, see had the potential in or whatever it was. What was it about Walt? And then, tell us about, what was good.
That was the year of the lockout where we didn't have OTAs. Training camp was, we had to just get ready for it. You were up to your own device after the season was over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want young Walter as in high school Walter or young Walter as in first couple years Walter?
When you were working with him.
All right. Well, I'll start from the beginning. So I was a year removed from playing ball. I played at the University of Idaho in 2000, 2001, 2002 seasons. I came home in 2003. Didn't really coach. 2004 is when I got into it. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't know who Walter was. He was this guy walking around with glasses, kind of,
skin and bones, Dave, skin and bones.
with the weird wardrobe, so he had this weird wardrobe thing that I was trying to, be a nerd, be a ball player, that sort of thing. But when Walter was on the field, he was about the football life. He took care of business. He was a hard worker. He led from the front. He led by example. He wasn't really a rah-rah guy in high school, which was his senior year. We're both alumni of the same school, which is why I came back to coach at that particular school. And so we ended up making a run. We got into the playoffs that year as a 16th seed in our division. Made a playoff run. The rivalry school down the street, literally 2 miles down the street, on the same street, was playing for 4 championships in a row. About 5 or 6 D1 guys on their side. We had about 3 or 4 on our side. And in a championship game in a stadium that seated about 15,000, there was about 13,000 in there. First play of the game, we handed the ball off to Walter. We moved him from wide receiver, motioned him into the backfield like a wildcat formation at the time. Goes 65 yards down the sideline with an escort, and the whole stadium erupts, and the game was over at that point. And that was the beginning of the Walter Thurman III legacy. He went from, a guy at West Covina High School to the greatest player to come out of West Covina High School. To this day, you know, he's that guy and stuff. And you know, moving forward to, you know, the college, you know, we would talk here and there and stuff. You know, I'm still coaching. He's playing ball at Oregon. Fast forward to the NFL, and you know, we reconnected when he came back in town to work out, and so started training him, getting them ready. And if you guys notice, those that are watching or listening at home, Walter was always in mid-season form at training camp. You know, pushed him. There were some days where, you know, pushed him till he threw up.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he had me questioning on if this is something that I really want to do. That's how harsh the workouts were. We had guys that wouldn't come back anymore to some of those workouts where we were. I mean, yeah, I mean, our warm up of the workout was most people's full workout, and that was just type of. I mean, I was in the best shape of my life going into that lockout year, and hadn't been in that type of shape going to the NFL's OTAs and getting in shape within that of how they regularly kind of spread out some of the workouts there. This is the type of work that we were kind of doing and on during that time.
Yeah, and so you know, so we got at it. You know, Sherman came out there, same thing. Nobody was exempt. Everybody was treated the same. You know, but it was coordinated, it was organized, it was detailed, it was position specific, and that was kind of the beginning of the Legion of Boom. You know, when you know, Richard Sherman came on board, Brandon Browner a couple years later, and stuff, and you know, it just enhanced what the Seahawks did at that time, the most feared defense, arguably in the history of the league, that Super Bowl year.
And Eric, where were those workouts taking place?
Most of them took place at our old high school, West Covina High School. Okay.
So I grew up in Glendora.
Okay, yeah. So most of them were at West Covina High School, and then sometimes
Cameron Park. We was in the middle of the rec park.
Yep, in the middle of the park sometimes, and you know, we just did what we needed to do, what needed to be done. The reason why we would go to the park sometimes is because it was grass.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get the guys off the carpet, and get on some grass just to, you know, take the pressure off the joints, the knees, and things of that nature.
Right.
And stuff. But then, you know, other times when I needed lines or needed specific things, we get on the carpet and do the work.
So okay, so we're about ready to do our first drawing here. And first, hey Mark, I see you there. We can't discuss who's playing, who's not playing.
We don't know.
Well, we don't know. And believe me, Walt didn't get in trouble because Walt knows better than to ask. But you know, we had Uchenna on, we had Brady on, and we've had Michael Jarrell on, and I always end up putting my foot in my mouth and asking them, hey, how are the guys looking? How's the injuries? And we can't tell you that, so we don't know. We know a lot, but we don't know who's going to play and who's not going to play. Unfortunately,
I mean, it's a knee injury.
Huh?
I said it's a knee injury. I mean, if it was a torn ACL or something like that, he would be going to surgery. You would already know he's done. So I mean, it could be a sprain or something like that, but he could also be missing this week. So I mean, it's, you know, or you know, he could put the Don Joy on the knee brace and be out there. I mean, you just gonna have to watch to see if he's practicing. They might, you know, he might pop in there Thursday or Friday if he is playing this week.
Yeah, you'll know when we know. And Sharon said she's got back from Uchenna's coat drive. You see me wearing my Uchenna Nwosu t-shirt because we volunteered at his camps and supported him here down at Carson and all the great work he does. And because of all of that, he is the Seahawks Man of the Year and up for voting for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. There's a link on Hawk Talk 12. Hawk Talk 12 is our Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. Check us out. Subscribe to our YouTube. We need to build up our YouTube. I know a lot of you subscribed to the old channel we were on, but now this is ours. So we're trying to build it up. But on Facebook is the Uchenna Nwosu announcement for Man of the Year. You could go there, scroll through the link, and vote for him. I know the 12s will come out and roaring. So we got our first giveaway, and Pete just texted me. The first winner is Lisa H. You'll be getting a Matt Hasselbeck autographed 8x10. So if you'll type in your address, to the chat. Pete will take it down, and we'll make sure we get that mailed out to you. Cool.
Good stuff. Hey, so I mean, I don't know who your favorite. I think you're a Raider fan, huh, Hunter? You're a Raider fan, I think, by nature.
Yeah. Silver
Hey,
and black.
What's your take on the Vikings here? Going into this week, we got the Vikings this week at home again. What's your take on the Vikings?
I think they're dangerous. They've been fortunate to be healthy and to win a championship. You know, as you guys know, on any level, even in Madden, the video game, you got to be healthy to win a championship. That's the one thing you can't control. And the fact that they have not been injured or had any key injuries makes them dangerous. Detroit lost 3 guys in a matter of seconds Sunday.
Yeah.
And Green Bay, the jury's still out, you know, and stuff. Is Jordan Love going to be Brett Favre and throw 4 interceptions in the game, or is he going to be Joe Montana and throw 4 touchdowns in the game? You know, that's to be determined. But Minnesota, I think the key with them is if you can contain Justin Jefferson and not let Addison beat you.
Yeah.
You know, then Minnesota's vulnerable. But if Jefferson gets going, Addison gets going, the running game gets going, and Sam Darnold, you know, I mean, he was a multi-sport athlete in the state of California in high school. You know, if he gets going, finds his rhythm, uses his legs a little bit or enough, Minnesota's going to be a very tough out.
I'm always big on our DBs and corners, and this escaped me earlier when we were talking about the defense. And, you know, Woolen gave up a couple of touchdowns there. You know, just looked a little off on it. And one was a slant route. One was like a dig route that he kind of, you know, guy made a great play in the back of the end zone there. But, yeah, I mean, I love our corners. I love how we match up, though. And so, you know, like you said, I think that's going to be the biggest task is containing, you know, Jefferson there. I mean, the Falcons didn't do it. I mean, I don't know how you leave a guy, you know, wide open like that, you know, uncovered. And so you just can't have mental mistakes like that within that capacity. And it's going to be a challenge, though. It's going to be a challenge, and they run the ball pretty efficient too, though.
Yeah, I think with the what I saw with the DBs from Seattle, they didn't seem too confident. Like they left some of their confidence on the sidelines or somewhere. You know, I don't want to use the word distracted, but some of their keys and things, it just looked like they were, you know, peaking when they shouldn't have been peaking, and guys just creep behind them.
Yeah, they played off. I think the whole team was off in the game. That's kind of how I kind of see it. To your point there with some of the DBs, they weren't playing like their normal selves, if you will.
Yeah. And I think from this perspective as an official, I think the freedom of movement with the receivers, with the offense, is hurting defenses. And you're not able to do little things. Everything is a penalty that shouldn't be a penalty. And stuff, not just with Seattle Sunday night, but just in the NFL, in the college, you know, in the high school ranks. I noticed that a lot of times defenses are struggling more and more because they can't do anything. You know, it's kind of like basketball. You can't hand check a guy. You know, you gotta hope he's not gonna get that step on you and dunk on you or something like that. You know, but if in football, I noticed as an official, there's a lot of just the freedom of movement, and it's not really good for the game, in my opinion. And I'm a former wide receiver.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another thing that's got to be tough too is all those rub routes, right? Rub quasi picks, you know, and that's a fine line too. You know, I mean, DBs, I used to say offensive line was the toughest position on the field, just because, you know, we're 330 pounds and backpedaling trying to chase a cat that runs a 4.6 40 is 280 pounds. So, I mean, that's unnatural. But man, playing a defensive back now, when you can't have any hands on. There's a certain you know, yardage area in which you can, but then you know, having to mirror these guys with this speed and this size is just I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, I think that as an official, that is the hardest play I would say for me is to officiate is those rub routes, because I'm too far to see was there contact, was the receiver making a conscious effort to block or a conscious effort to avoid, and it's tough. It's why they get missed a whole lot, because you almost need another pair of eyes, like
just
an
to watch,
official
just to watch that route specifically.
Yes, like if they're on the left, if they're on the press box side, you almost need that official to mirror where that is. But personally, I would like for them to eliminate that scheme altogether.
That route concept.
Yes, and I say that because it's too hard to officiate, and teams are in the NFL, they're losing games, coaches are getting fired, players are getting cut. It looks like a blown assignment. And you guys played at the highest level, and it's just certain things where you've seen guys turning in their playbook, because of a bad game on Sunday. Yeah, and especially if you get a corner that gets picked on, gives up a touchdown early in the game just by whatever reason, then he gets caught in the rub route, gets caught in the wash. It look on his stat sheet, looks like he gave up 3 touchdowns, when the reality, the offensive scheme, and the referees not being in the position or not being able to see what happened.
And this is and to the people listening, this is how this usually goes in the defensive back rooms. Hey, you just got to find a way. Guy picks you, bulldozes you, doesn't get caught. Hey, you just got to find a way.
Yeah. That sounds like a sage coaching advice right there.
Hey, yeah, it protects the coaches too, right? Like, this is like, hey, hey, that's a tough one. I got to coach you up some way, right? You can be mindful. You can try to slip it and try to run and trail it, which again, that puts you in a bad position as well. Because if guy is faster than you, he's just going to outrun you. So I mean, those shallow crossers and those rub routes, I mean, those are tough to defend, especially in man coverage. I mean, you have to just have flawless technique to even just be able to make a play. Most of the time, they're going to catch it, and you got to make a tackle there.
Yeah,
and you just got to find a way. you just got to find a way.
Well, I know when I was at the University of Idaho, we ran the West Coast offense. So the shallow crosses and the dig route concepts were a big part of our repertoire. Yeah. And but when we did do the bunch formation, we weren't trying to chip blocks. We were just running to a spot that was part of the route concept. Yeah. But these guys, they're just blatantly, blocking.
It's become it's an art and craft, like to where you have to try to sell it, but we need you to block, but you got to sell it to where you're going into this route. Yeah. And some guys can do that very well, and some guys just can't do it.
I saw a rookie tight end, Walt, one game, and he was like bowling a China shot, man. He didn't know nothing. There was no rub about it. He just went and plowed the DB. I mean, I could have called it. That was pretty easy. Yeah, so it is an art. Some of these guys are so good at it. They just know where to put their body. It's just like anything, right? It's angles and how to do it. It's not a blatant run into them foul.
Yeah, definitely.
No question.
Hey, so all right, we're gonna do it every 10 minutes. I don't want to run out of time and have all these things left over. So this next thing is an autograph football, and I found some of the autographs on it. Chuck Liddell, the Iceman MMA Hall of Fame, is in there. Jesse Sapolo, 15 years, 4-time Super Bowl champ. Steve Bernline, 17 years, Super Bowl champ. Todd Light, 12 years, Super Bowl champ. Walter Thurman III, 108 years, Super Bowl champ. Nate Boyer, Green Beret, and Seahawk free agent, just a great dude. Matt Willig, Super Bowl champ, actor. And there's Matt Vanderbeek, Super Bowl champ with the Cowboys.
Yeah, a bunch of Super Bowl champs on there.
Yeah, Mickey Hatcher, nice. 2-time World Series champ with the Dodgers and the Angels. Darwin Cook, 14 NBA seasons. And then we got the Mayans, Joseph Lucero, who played Creeper. Michael Irby, who played El Presidente, and Emilio Rivera, who's Padre, El Padrino. And then the Common King signed it, Arabian Prince from NWA. So that is this one, and the winner is, Pete sent it to me. I got it. I'm getting it here. It is D. Moon Pratt. So D. Moon Pratt, and just once again, throw your address in the chat or send it to us. We have an email address. Hey, Walt, did you know we have an email address?
Oh, email?
Yeah, guess what it is?
Hot Talk 12 with Gmail.
Yeah, it's Hot Talk 12 at Gmail. See, you know what I love about Pete? He knows I'm old and concussed, and what he doesn't know is Walt's brilliant. Eric, you're talking about he's walking around with glasses. These weren't shades. These are like nerd glasses, huh?
Oh yeah.
No, because
he's Coke bottle looking.
Yeah, almost blind as a bat, Dave. Almost blind as a bat.
Yeah, but you're brilliant. He does a lot of great stuff, man, and
I just seen Pete's comment on the chat. That's why I knew it.
Oh.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was Hot Talk in there somewhere.
Yeah. All right. So we got the Vikings. We know that's going to be tough. We know it's probably going to be a track meet. Eric, you stated the obvious is every team walking in to the Vikings has the same game plan. Limit Justin Jefferson and hope.
The thing that's interesting, with the Vikings is like they've had some blowout wins, but a lot of their games are close though. And I mean their defense is pretty good. They have a top 10 defense out there. Brian Flores has a great scheme. But I mean they're a beatable team. I mean they won teams, and that just speaks to their three facets of offense, defense, and special teams kind of coming together. Obviously they thought they were going to be the bottom tier of that conference, especially with Sam Darnold back there. But Sam just kind of came into his own because he is mid-20s veteran quarterback now. And has seen some football, and and he's just comfortable in a scheme too, right? And then it's easy when you have two legitimate receivers like one of the top 5 best receiving groups in the NFL, right? I mean them, obviously we could throw our hats in there. The Bengals, I mean, they're right in that kind of that mix there. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with the quarterback position going into this week, and how the game is going to be called. So I think that's going to dictate a lot for us, at least trying to move the ball and score the ball. And I think we have to rely on the run more. If we do have, I think Gino or Sam, I think we need to run the ball more, right? I think we need to really try to establish that run. But it's going to come back down to the defense. I mean, you always got to treat it like a road game. And you bring your defense, you bring your special teams, and offense, needs to protect the ball and try to get as much points as possible. But I think the defense has to really, step up and have a better performance than last week.
So we got the Vikings. So and since we're not going to do the next 2 shows because Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, we're going to take a little time off. We got the Bears in Chicago, and I don't think anybody wants to play the Bears in Chicago in December.
That's going to be such a cold game.
With the wind coming.
I remember my rookie year. We played the Bears in the playoff game after going 7-9 and win division there under 500. I think the Hawk fan, I think the 12s know about this game here. That was a game of seeing Matt Hasselbeck's last year, and you just seeing a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback just throwing dimes all over the field, and that game hurts so much because it's hitting receivers in their hands and they're just dropping it, and it's just it's 11 degrees out there. Obviously it was a snow game. And the one thing with playing in like weather like that fans at home, trying to get that sense. Like when you're in the game, you don't really feel the cold because your drilling is going, you're going, you just kind of block the cold aspect out. But once you let your hands, get cold and freeze, there's no way to bring them back.
No. There's
no way to bring them back. So I mean it makes it impossible to try to catch the ball. Especially how hard these guys are throwing the ball, and
the ball gets hard.
Oh yeah, the ball gets
hard and slippery. So you got those 2 things, going, and I think everybody's at least, probably they're all old enough. They're watching our show. they've all at least had their hands really cold at one point or another. And even when you try to thaw it out with warm water.
Yeah, fingers are numb. You just can't feel it. You just don't have
Yeah.
no sense there. That was the one thing of learning and playing in cold weather, of like how important it is to try to keep your hands warm as possible, because once they go, there's no getting them back until after the game's over. Especially when your livelihood is catching the ball. I mean, Matt had I think it's just a fabulous game, just throwing that ball out there. That was a game we should have won though. We could have made a run 7-9. That was kind of interesting to see. It wasn't, all you have to do is just get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Didn't matter what the record was. All you had to do was get in the playoffs, and like that changed everything because we were trending in the right direction. Started off kind of rocky in that first year, but guys believe. Obviously we go into that beast quake, and we go into the playoffs. And it was any given Sunday.
That's
and
right.
all you got to do is get your hat in the boat. So I think for us, if we're able to get into the playoffs, who knows? It's a totally new season there to be able to make some things happen.
Well, I don't see us laying 2 eggs back to back at home. Regardless of who the quarterback is, I don't know. I just have one of these feelings. The Vikings have been playing extremely well. I think they're like 9 in a row, 11 in a row. They're kind of set up for maybe taking a breather. We might even be a trap game for them, because I'll tell you what, they've got a pretty. I think they've got to finish out the season. They're playing for first place. They've got the Lions and I think the Packers after us. I mean, they've got 2 pretty tough games after us, from what I recall.
Probably so, I'd imagine. But they're locked for the playoffs though. So now it's just a matter if they're going to win the division or not,
right?
Or compete to win for the division. Because I think they have the same record right now with Lions, because the Lions just lost. So I think they're right there, pretty much tied. Green Bay's hovering, but they had the first 2 playoff spots. Again, it's pretty much us, Rams, and the Commanders are right there for us winning the conference, or if not that wild card spot. But we need to get these next 2 games are going to be crucial, because that last game is the Rams, and that's going to be for the division and to go to the playoffs essentially, because the Commanders are playing good football too. And they're second in their division. They're not going to beat the Eagles, but they're playing solid enough football to be able to get that last wild card spot. So we need to win this division to just kind of secure what we're going to do for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
or for the playoffs.
You brought up the Commanders. And us being Southern California guys, to see Jaden, in Inland Empire just doing so well, and he's got such a great temperament. Even when he throws up, he's just always got you can tell he's just enjoying himself. And he's having a great time. It's not like he has he enjoys throwing an interception, but it doesn't let it affect him.
Yeah. These 5th and 6th year quarterbacks are having very successful years. The Bo Nix. You have Jaden Daniels that's out here. Penix just got the nod to be the starting quarterback, and I'm excited to see. And even though it's UW, I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do out there in Atlanta within that capacity as well. And you look at a guy like Caleb, kind of, he's putting some numbers up, but he's struggling though. And again, he hasn't had that many reps, right? He's a third year guy, 4-year guy, type of situation there, to where I think if you see you're watching a lot of football, you're playing a lot of football, so that confidence that you're getting through all those games is translating, seems like, for these guys as they got into the NFL, of being comfortable with the playbook, being comfortable of where to go with the ball, because they have had so many live reps and experience within this situation. And so it's not it's not surprising to kind of see it was surprising to see Jaden doing so well. Obviously, he won the Heisman, and he goes in here, he's having a very successful year. The Bo Nix. Looking forward to seeing what Penix is going to do here with these last 4 or 5 games, these last 4 games, 3-4 games of the season, to see what he's going to do, which I think he should have got to start last week or yesterday, actually.
Well, I'll tell you, I like watching the kids on the sidelines. Everyone, you watch them on the field is one thing, and they're out there competing, but how they conduct themselves on the sidelines, off the field, how are they interacting with the other players? Are they alienating themselves, or are they interacting with the other players? And I think that is an indication of what kind of leader they're going to be. Is what you want your quarterback to be. You want your quarterback to be a leader and somebody that you can rally behind and have confidence in. I think that's why I like watching. We kind of got off the topic. We're talking about the Bears and their rookie quarterback. And
it goes back to what we're about to go face here. We're in the thick of the NFC North right now. They're playing good football. We have an opportunity. We have a chance. We just got to get back and check this last loss off and get back to how we were playing weeks prior. I think you can almost treat this game like a road game just because of where the personnel is at, and that's kind of how I feel within that situation. So,
all right, so we are running out of time. I got 2 more things to give away, so let's give some stuff away just in time for Christmas. Hopefully, you'll get it in time. We'll get it out in the mail tomorrow to you if you get us your address. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a mini helmet, a Hawk Talk mini helmet. We got these custom made by Tyler. And Tyler, your stuff is when I send this stuff out, I'm getting your stuff in the mail. I've been telling you that for 2 weeks, and I'm sorry I haven't gotten it out, but you and Thomas, we got a couple of Hawk Talk flags, and we signed them for you guys, so we'll get those up to you. And the winner of this is gonna be, and I don't know if it's Michael Salado or Michelle Salado. So I think I got that right. I hope that I got that right. And if I don't, please correct us in the chat and let us know. Maybe Walt, you can answer some of the questions in the chat while I'm doing these. And then the last thing we're gonna do.
Hey, Daryl's talking about he's a Packers fan, so.
Well, you know what. So you know what
all are welcome.
You know what? I bet there ain't no Packers show on. That's why he's following us. You know, people like hearing from players. So, and we're gonna do the last one. This is Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I'll tell you what, this kid is a baller. You know, even in our loss, Walt, how many catches did you have last week?
Oh, I got 10 catches, 12 targets. Yeah.
Yeah. How many yards?
84 yards.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean,
he's passing around 100 yards a game.
I mean, he was, caught almost everything that was thrown his way. So,
yeah, pretty amazing. A great talent. He's got some great mentors. And the winner of that is Mitch Cox. Mitch Cox, the winner of the Smith and Jigba autographed 8x10. So, everybody, we appreciate you. We appreciate you following us. Guys, please go out and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I can't wait to give this away. We've got a Steve Largent authentic real helmet, signed with letter of authenticity that we want to give away, but we got to get to 1,000 followers. We're a ways away, but maybe when we get to 500, we'll do a Brian Bosworth autographed jersey. And I know he's a love-hate guy, but everyone knows who Bosworth is. And if you're a Seahawks fan, I still see a lot of these jerseys being worn around. I got to play with Brian. I got to know Brian, the guy, and he is not the boss. The boss is a persona, but you got to love him. So we got some really cool stuff you have to give away, and we appreciate you guys following us. I'll tell you what, when we get to 2,000 followers, that's what we're going to do. We're going to give the Bosworth away, and we're only like 10 away from that. I think we're at 1,890, or so 100 away, right?
100 away.
Yeah. We're 100 away. So 100. We need to get to 2,000 followers on Hawk Talk 12, our Facebook page, and we'll give the Bosworth away to somebody. Walt, what do you got going for Christmas, buddy?
Christmas?
Christmas.
Yeah, probably have some family over Christmas Eve. Might go to a family friend's house with the kiddos, and then Christmas Day, my dad is hosting everybody, so we'll go over there. He's a big barbecue guy, so we'll barbecue some ribs. I think he got a little brisket going.
All right.
He just asked us to bring the sides, so we'll bring the sides for him.
That's good. You got your shopping done?
All the shopping done? No,
Yeah.
no.
It's still a week. It's still a week away. Yeah. In guy time, you got plenty of time.
Yeah, little lackadaisical there on the shopping, but that's why you have Amazon. We have a fulfillment center not too far here, so there might be some stuff.
I can't shop online, bro. I can't do it. I don't see colors well, and I mean, so I never know what I'm going to end up buying, and of course, for me, nothing fits. Nothing online fits. I can tell you that. I got to try stuff on, so it's not a problem that you have. So we got Anne-Marie's kids coming in, and we're going to be hanging out here and doing Christmas and looking forward to it.
Nice.
Hey, I just want to once again thank all the followers and all the guys that watch us. Thank you all for chiming in on the side and your support. It was great out in Arizona, man. I know I talked about this last week, but I tell you what, Kenny Burns put on a party, man. We had a great time in Arizona. A lot of people that follow the show were there. I was really surprised people coming up to us going, I watch Hawk Talk, man. So that was fun to do. And then, like I said, vote for Uchenna. Vote for Uchenna for Men of the Year. The link is on our Facebook page. And that's all I got. You got anything else, Walt?
No. Go Hawks.
The Go Hawks, man. We'll see you all next year. Be blessed. That means we're done, Pete.